Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, seen Wednesdays on the Sports Collectors Daily Facebook page and the Great American Collectibles Facebook page. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by the National Sports Collectors Convention and Sports Collectors Daily. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now your hosts, Tom Zappala and Boston sports personality, John Mallory.
JM, my man, how are you, brother?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm still on the IL. I am still on the IL.
I just went on with you this week, but getting better.
Well, I'm going to take fielding practice this afternoon, but it is what it is. It is.
I'll hit you some fungos.
No, actually, I'm doing better, to be honest with you, and thanks for asking. It's been 10 days, and I'm off the crutches. Started with the walker, off the walker, off the crutches, off the cane. Just, kind of hobbling around the house.
Yeah.
But getting there good, slowly, man. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's
it. You got to be patient. Be patient. Yep.
All right, so we are all, JM and I are working remotely. I'm working from my house. JM is working from his house. And we have two great guests. We're going to bring them in right now. Good friends, Joe Drelich from the National and the Philly Show and CSA. Joe's all over the place. And Brian Drent, our other good friend from a Mile High Card Company. How are you, boys?
Very good. Very good.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
You guys look good. You guys look good. Brian, you're in Colorado, right?
I'm in Colorado.
Okay, and listen, we're going to start this. Congratulations, man. Your daughters, you got all kinds of stuff going on in the Drent house, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, my oldest daughter got engaged a couple weeks ago. So
that's awesome.
Time, yeah.
A nice Italian guy, right?
No, not an Italian guy.
And then you have another daughter that left for school, right?
Yeah, my youngest is down. She's starting her sophomore year down at Ole Miss, and then my middle daughter just got into University of Colorado nursing school. So
fantastic!
Congratulations!
It's great.
Joseph, you're still recuperating a little bit from the National, but you guys, man, you don't stop. You're on to the next gig, correct?
And that is correct. We put this one behind us, but we've already started on 2025. I'll actually be flying out to Chicago tomorrow morning to actually walk the floor for 2025. So
unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I got to tell you, Joe, there are so many people looking forward to Chicago. I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, Cleveland was great. We had a great time. It was a great show. There's something about Chicago, there just is.
Yeah.
And I think it may be Gibson's, but anyway, it's a fun place. All right, let's talk about the Philly show. New expanded floor plan. Tell us about it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Again, the Philly show's just been on a trajectory that we slowly but surely just continue to try to evaluate where we were at with the show, and that was part of the reason for the move from the casino a few years ago over to Oaks. It's allowing us to expand and bring in different features and new features that we feel bring more people into the community and introduce them. So that floor plan now we're expanding to halls A and B. Which will be a better flow for everything. It's basically a big giant rectangle at this point. There's no side rooms, and we can keep all the collectors in sort of the same space and navigating the same floor plan. We're really excited about where we're at. Again, we've added some booths. We've added a TCG section separate from the card section to try to create and blend that element in. We noticed a real big uptick over the last 12 months. 18 months or so of the TCG community starting to blend in with sports cards and speaking with some of the authentication companies. They've seen the same growth. So we're trying to embrace that, but at the same time, keep it separate. It's really important. The integrity of the Philly show is always going to remain. We consider it one of the best vintage card shows in the country, and it's grown into, accommodating modern card collectors, which we love. And now we're opening the doors to TCG, which the floor plan will allow us to do. It'll create a lot more space, and we like the flow. We just put the new floor plan up on the website, so we've already gotten some really positive feedback about it. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
Brian, you've done the Philly show in the past, haven't you?
I do it every single time, and probably have been to the Philly show for well over 20 years in a row now. So
I mean, it's a great show. As a matter of fact, Joe, we've been talking about it. We're gonna expand a little bit. I was talking to Rico about it and to JM, and we're gonna really try. We'll talk later on about it, Joe. But we're gonna try to get out to the shows. More than just a national this year. We'd like to get out to 3 or 4 of them between Philly, CSA, maybe the East Coast show, just kind of rotate a little bit and broadcast the show from there. But Brian, what are your thoughts on the show, on the Philly show?
Well, the Philly show has just been a staple within our business, our hobby, for all the way back to the 1970s. I mean, and Joe and his staff, once they came on board, like he said, they made some major changes, leaving the casino, going out to the Oaks. It's opened the floor plan up quite a bit and allows for more corporate sponsorships, eBay. Things of that nature. So, I mean, it's just changed with the times in our business. So I think they've done a fabulous job, and it's an earmarked event on Mile High's schedule every year.
JM?
Joe, you have, when you do these shows, you have a lot of different groups of people involved with it. You have the fans that are going there. You have the stars there who are signing autographs. You have the vendors. How do you try to make it a good show for everybody, whether it's crowd control, spacing, the new floor plan, try to make everybody have a good experience?
Yeah, you've sort of touched on it. We try to create elements inside of the show that are going to make people want to stay and shop longer. And hence adding in, as Brian touched on, eBay's been an amazing partner of ours. We've also added on some other Zion cases and things of that nature. Humongous Horde has come on board with us as well. And so we're adding in these corporate elements that are allowing us to expand our budget to create these different pieces of the show. So to your point, bringing in the TCG section is something that maybe goes against a card show per se, but what we've seen, and we don't do these things quickly. Like, this is not just about how can we get more tables in here and sell more space. This is about creating a better experience. So what people, I think, are going to see this show is one of the things that you mentioned is the space, right? A lot of times when a show gets really crowded or uncomfortable, people aren't going to stay those extra times. So for me, from a logistics side of it, I sit back and kind of look at everything and try to figure out what's going to make a good experience, what's going to create more interaction between customers that maybe are just entering our show for the first time. And I want to cater to our customers that have been there for 30 plus years and make sure that everybody's having a good time. So some of those things come into play when we're making decisions like this. We added carpeting. We pretty much carpet most of the floor now, which is really just I don't want to say throwing money out the door. That's not right. But we've been told many times how much more enjoyable it makes the experience, and people's knees and ankles don't hurt. So those are just some of the things that we're actually sitting back and thinking about to add into our show to create the better experience, not only for the dealers, but the customers. I mean, ultimately, we want everybody to come in and just have a really good time. We've always been kids free, 10 and under. We've always been discount to military services, which will continue. We want to create an environment where a family can come in for a really affordable price, have a good time, but also the collectors can do their thing and shop and spend time at the tables, which is what our dealers want. So,
I'm gonna ask both of you this question. Joe, you first. I mean, 25 years ago, shows were shows. There were vintage shows. Mm-hmm. People came in, they paid rent, they showed their goods. Now it seems, and I'm going to ask both of you guys this, you really have to have your ear and eyes to the hobby, because there are so many different things that are evolving in the hobby with technology, just everything, rips. How do you stay ahead of it? I mean, it's amazing. Again, you look at what was at the National this year versus what was at the National 25 or 30 years ago. How do you stay ahead of it? You just have to have your nose to the grindstone. Joe, you first.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. You really just have to, like you said, and Brian can attest to this. I mean, even just 10 years ago, let's say, Brian and I could walk around the Philly show and we pretty much knew almost everybody, all the dealers we had a real common friendship with. I mean, we go out to dinner together, and we've expanded to the point now where, most of the people are new people into the space. And so, yeah, so they provide feedback to us, and we sort of try to pay attention to what's trending and what's happening, and try to figure out a way to fold that into what we're doing, but also try to maintain the integrity of not only our show, but touching on the national for a minute. That's a really good place to touch on, because if you guys happen to notice the way we designed that floor plan for Cleveland, a couple things on that. We inherited that building. That was something that came prior to us. The prior management team was part of the selection of that building and process.
Yeah.
But we had the ability to carve the floor plan out to our vision. And for us, that's why strategically we put the corporate exactly how and where we did, because we wanted ultimately everybody to walk in that front door and just see cards and tables of cards, because that's what the national is. That's what everybody gets excited about. Everybody looks forward to the greatest card. I don't want to use the word flea market anymore because we've scaled up so much, but you get the picture. Is that it's a treasure hunt, right? It's a massive, Super Bowl size treasure hunt, and that's what we want to maintain and create with the national, still while integrating our corporate partners, being good to them. They bring a lot of value to the table. Their reach, I think, has been a really big part in the overall growth of our hobby and community. So we try to find that balance, but ultimately we want the national to always be the greatest card show in the United States and for the world, in the world for that matter. So, and I take a little bit of that with Philly as well. I really want to maintain the integrity of that show. So,
Brian?
Yeah, I think what Joe touched on was absolutely, I've never promoted a show in my life, and I take my hat off to anybody that does, because you've got it coming from every angle. But in our realm, kind of touching on the national and then Philly, first of all, I thought Joe and his team did a really tremendous job in Cleveland. And to further your point, I mean, Cleveland isn't Chicago. We're already looking forward to Chicago. I think everybody does. It's just a special place. But Cleveland did a fabulous job. And the way they set the show up, I think, and I'm glad to hear Joe say this, and he's an old school card guy. When you walk in the room, it's about the cards. And
Right.
That's what we do. And I loved my spot at the show. I had probably one of our best shows of all time. The show floor was packed. To not take anything away from the corporate areas. The corporate areas have changed so dramatically, and the setups have been beyond belief, but it's still a card show at heart. And I think Philly's the same way. As dealers / auction houses, when we go to a show now, we have to incorporate so much more than just showing up at the show.
Right.
We're there to get consignments for our auctions, so things have changed a little bit from your goods, so to speak. But we have to, have a cognizant thought of, the social media aspect, technology aspect, kind of all the way down to mailing catalogs, shipping catalogs that we hand out at the show, just all kinds of things that, 10 plus years ago, none of us had to think of. And I guess just it's a ramification and a justification of how much our business has changed and for the better.
Jam?
Yeah. Joe, talk about the process of scheduling and booking these athletes and former athletes for autographs. Such a big part of all your shows. And I want you to comment, and then I want Brian also to comment on what it means to him as a vendor to be at these shows with these guys. Obviously, a big draw bringing people in. We'll start with Joe.
Yeah, sure. So a couple things. I'm really glad I don't have to do any of that with the national. I will say, I want to say that first and foremost. I mean, hats off to TriStar and their team. They're amazing to work with. They brought in over 140 athletes, which is really, really challenging. Yeah, it pretty much is. It gets a little easier as you go along. I mean, when I started out 8 or 10 years ago, obviously you're cold calling a lot of people trying to make those connections. But fast forward 8 or 10 years, I've established a lot of great relationships with agents and a lot of the retired players. A lot of them you can eventually connect with directly. So that part of it isn't too bad. It's really more about finding. Being able to do something like we're doing this Philly show, we happen to be doing a 2008 World Series reunion show, which I started that process 7 or 8 months ago. And, I thought just being able to lob that out there and cast that line in the water would get everybody to go on board. Oh, I haven't seen my guys in 15 years,
That's a good idea.
But that's where the challenges come in and it gets difficult. And we were able to pull off a good show. We've got 19 guys coming from the '08 team, including, some of the key players.
Boy, you've got our guy. You've got our guy, Shane Victorino, man.
Yeah, the Flying Hawaiian. Yeah,
Shane, he became a Boston legend. I mean, he did what he had to do for us.
He did.
I mean, he was great.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about the autograph world. Like you say the name Shane Victorino, and it really it'll play to your heartstrings if you're a Red Sox fan or you're a Phillies fan. And he wasn't. He's not a Hall of Famer on any stretch, but he was a magical player, and he just had that charismatic way to play the game. So he resonates with people and collectors. So he's a really good one. And to your point, John, I've been working on Shane for literally 9 years. So to get him is amazing. Like he was one of the first people I went after when we took over Philly. You kind of key in and you look at who the names are that people want to see. And Shane was a name that was on there forever. And it's literally taken me 9 years. And contract signed, sealed, delivered. His flight's already booked. So super excited, about having a guy like that. You say a powerhouse name like Joe Montana and everybody gets it. But like, believe me, the Shane Victorino component,
absolutely.
People are really, really happy, and so we're happy to do that. And we also feel like there's a good crossover, right? You bring in fans and you try to turn them into collectors. Like that's what we're doing here. It's another component of our show. It's another activity to do during the show. But ultimately what we're trying to do is get that guy that's got a Phillies hat or a Red Sox hat, bring him in and have him go, wow. And have him walk around and look at Brian's table and look at some items Brian's offering and look at some things he can buy on the floor and just get excited about it. So that's a really key element in what we try to do.
Yeah, do you remember Shane's what his theme song was?
Every little thing's going to be all right. Remember the walk-up song? Yeah.
Three Little Birds.
Yeah.
The entire 35,000 people would sing Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. Yeah. He came up to it.
Exactly.
He was great. Yeah. We are chatting. We got about a minute left. We're chatting with Joe Drelich and Brian Drent from Mile High Card Company. Joe, what are the dates of the show?
We are September 20th to the 22nd. So coming up fast here, just a couple of weeks after the holiday weekend that we're approaching now.
And you're going to have about 550 dealer tables?
Yeah. We're, that's so our booths. Yeah, our booths are 10 by 10 booths. They each have two. So we have about 275 booths at the show now, which is, almost double what we had 10 years ago. And, we try to do that strategically. So yeah, we're excited about it. We could fit probably another 150 booths in the room. That's how much space there is now. But, we're going to crawl before we walk and make sure the crowds are there to support it and make sure check in with our dealers and make sure everybody's doing well. And then we'll inch along as we get the green light from the dealers.
I don't know how you do it, Joe, between the national and all the other things you do. I don't know. And plus, I mean, you're a collector yourself. I don't know how you do it, but you do it. So a tip of the cap to you. All right, listen, we'll talk to you down the road. Looking forward to working with you for the whole year, and also, with Brian and Jimmy. You got a great team there. You really have a great team.
We really do, and we'll come on for sure, and start to talk about 2025.
Yeah, I mentioned that to Brian. We really want to incorporate you guys over the course of the year, not just 3 weeks before the national. Just kind of what's going on with all the different shows, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds great.
All right. Joe Drelich.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks so much. We're going to take a quick
guys,
break.
Take care.
When we come back,
see ya.
Jack's Blast from the Past.
Awesome.
And there, we'll be right back. Thanks.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring.
With record-breaking sales from everything from the white border T206 Honus Wagner for $3.12 million to some great items that support the Jackie Robinson Foundation, Golden Auctions has set the highest standards for the finest in sports cards, autographs, and game-used memorabilia. We're always accepting consignments of high-end premium sports treasures or entire collections. Please register for our next auction and bid now at goldenauctions.com. That's golden with an I. We at Golden Auctions are committed to providing unsurpassed customer service for the discriminating collector. That's exactly why we're the leader in the industry. Visit goldenauctions.com or call 856-767-8550. Remember, Golden Auctions. We don't just break records, we shatter them.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back, and now we are chatting for the rest of the hour with our good friend Brian Drent from Mile High Card Company. Johnny Mallory is John. Where are you, in your men's room at your house?
I'm in the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen. Best lighting is in the kitchen.
It doesn't really look like a kitchen. It looks like kind of a bedroom of some sort.
Well, the kitchen stuff is like all over there.
So do you always have a shovel in your? Is that a shovel I see on the left?
I can't tell what you're looking at. I don't know what you're saying.
Over your left shoulder, is that a shovel?
My
in the
left
corner?
shoulder. Oh, you know what it is? That's it's actually it's a shillelagh from Ireland.
Oh, really?
It is.
Very nice. Very nice.
For intruders like yourself.
Okay. Before we get back to Brian, it is time right now for a GAX Blast from the Past, brought to you by our good friend Paul Borges and PB Collectables, your neighborhood card shop. Go to pbcollectables.com to find their special card or piece of memorabilia. Now, you really kind of pissed me off a little bit at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
If
you didn't say greatest ever, I love Jerry Remy and I love Don Orsillo. I love them both.
If they had a poll, if they took a poll now.
Yeah, but most people started watching the Red Sox in 2004.
I started watching Kurt Gowdy. Are you kidding?
Most people aren't media writers, and most people haven't worked in media for 40 years.
In my opinion, I think Orsillo.
I'm talking Remy, as broadcasters, as both, funny men.
The whole picture.
They were the most fun.
Well, Remy knew his stuff.
I'm not saying he didn't.
All right. Well, anyway,
I'm not saying he didn't.
This is a clip. I'm going to try to explain. This is a clip of Jerry Remy. This is a typical Jerry Remy clip during a broadcast for the Red Sox. It's actually quite funny. Let's run with it.
He's great.
Joining us from the booth. Hey, Jerry.
Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. Nice game one today, Julian Tavares.
I just fell off the table. That's why I'm laughing.
All right, we'll get yourself together. Julian Tavares, obviously that's what they needed from the game one starter, and Tavares was outstanding.
He was outstanding, TC, and, going deep into the game, getting a lot of ground ball outs. Not many strikeouts today for Tavares, but he doesn't generally get those. And getting deep, saving the bullpen if they need it for game two. Okajima outstanding again, and of course Papelbon closing it out. Excuse me. Just the way the doctor ordered today, getting the good starting pitching, the great relief pitching, and what more can you say? I can't say anymore.
All right, Jerry.
Sorry.
We got to ask you what happened, because apparently we have the video, Jerry. We're going to see the video here. This is Jerry Remy up in the booth a few minutes ago, just moments ago. People often wonder how the Rem Dog tunes up for a big game. And as you can see, Jerry very much...
He was so good. They did stuff like that all the time.
Jerry, I don't think there's anything else I can ask you after that.
No, I think that's about it.
You talked about dancing with the network stars. Is this part of the negotiation?
They got a bigger dance floor than what I got here.
Jerry, thanks. Good luck with the game tonight.
Have a good game, guys.
Very fun.
At Fenway Park as we get ready for game two between the Red Sox and the Detroit Tigers. We'll take a break.
Okay. Again, Brian, you can't see it. Make sure you watch it tomorrow night. Because Jerry Remy is up on a table right before he goes on the air, and he's
in the press box.
In the press box, and he's playing the air guitar, and he loses his balance and falls right off the table onto the floor. Hysterical, absolutely
really
hysterical.
Funny. Really
All right, let's get to Brian. Brian, your summer auction, the 26th to the 12th of September. I went online. You got some amazing things. Let's start off with one of my favorite all-time cards, the Eddie Plank T206. Let's talk about that card.
Yeah, we opened up yesterday. It's a nice auction. It came together nicely. A little over 2,200 lots, so a lot of material. We're very thankful, obviously, to all of our consigners. Getting to the Eddie Plank, we put it in lot number 1. It's a PSA 4, which is very high grade for that card. We've already got 8 bids on it. It's got the Sweet Caparel 350, 30 subjects back, and just has a really great look, well centered, no creasing, just a card that for that card in particular, you don't see it in that kind of high grade.
Yeah, Brian, you have a lot of amazing cards with a lot of amazing legends featured in this auction. It's a really deep auction. My favorite player of all time, Carl Yastrzemski. You have a Yaz rookie. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course you guys hit on that. Lot 18 is the 60 tops Carl Yastrzemski rookie and a PS 9. It's been a little while since we've had a 9 of that card. It's not a card you usually see in mint 9 condition from PSA. Incredibly well centered. The key to that card is always the print that's in the interior of the card. This one's void of the print, and thereby gets a PSA 9 grade. Great 4 mint corners. It'll be interesting to see what that kind of cards is going to sell for in this current market.
He's really slowed down, Jam. I don't know. I was talking to Rico about him.
Just turned 85.
Yeah, he's really slowing down, but he's he's managing. He doesn't get out much, but once in a while he'll make an appearance at Fenway. But he doesn't get out too much. Another guy that really appealed to me as a kid growing up, not as a kid growing up, but when I was in high school and college, was Lou Alcindor. Now you have a great Alcindor card. Tell us about that, Bri.
That card, that's a deep reach. I like that. You know what? That card came from a recent collection that we bought. I graded the card, really kind of had illusions, if you will, that the card might grade a little bit higher. I thought it would, had an outside chance to get a 9, an 8.5, but sometimes, playing the PSA game or SGC for that matter, isn't the easiest. It's a card that, like I said, we had thoughts that it had a possibility of getting a little higher grade, but we offered it in the holder that it got graded in. It should perform really well just because it's such a high-end example for the grade.
Great card. Really is. And then, of course, you've got a Teddy Ball Game rookie card, I believe.
We've got several. We got an incredible Ted Williams collection, number 1 on the master set registry with PSA. And in there, there's a 39 play ball, but there's a 40 play ball and a PSA 8. And what was really interesting out of that collection is there's some just difficult cards, notably some of the premiums from 39 Gaudi that you just never see, and they should perform really well as well. And then some regionals issues like the homogenized
back, Dancy,
which has a Babe Dietrichson on the reverse, which I think it may be the only example known. So there's in addition to the 39 play ball, there's a lot of Williams cards in this auction.
Brian, you have some, as you always do, some great Ruth and Gehrig items and cards in there. Can you just talk a little bit about them? What stands out for you?
Yeah, the 2 items in regards to Ruth that stand out to me, I guess really 3. Lot 4 is a fresh to the hobby type 1 photo of the 15 Red Sox. And it's not the typical 15 Red Sox photo. It's shot from a different angle by a different photographer. In fact, Henry Yee at PSA, when authenticating the photo, informed us that this was the only example that had been certified by PSA as a type 1. It really walked into our office, and we were very fortunate to get that. In addition to that, we have Lot 3, which is a 26 to 29 exhibit of Ruth. The card itself is graded a 1, but it's been signed on the front by Ruth, and the autograph's graded a 7. And then another one that comes to my mind is the always popular 33 Gaudi, number 53, the Yellow Ruth, which is graded a 6.5 by SGC. It looks a little bit nicer than a 6.5, but, we always say that. But it really comes through strongly, projects really almost as a near mint card. And then Gehrig, we've got a really nice 34 Gaudi, number 37, the Yellow Gehrig, graded to SGC 7.5.
Brian,
Awesome.
you are one of the foremost T206 experts in the country, hands down. Question is, Kenny Kendrick's Wagner.
Sure.
I know Derek and Joe Orlando and Mike Prove. They're great friends of yours, and obviously they just sold the Ruth Colchart jersey for $24 million. Very, very expensive piece of memorabilia. In your estimation, if the Kendrick, Gretzky, Wagner went up for Wagner went up for auction today, what do you think that card would fetch if you had to venture a guess?
35, 40 million.
Really?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
35 or 40 million. That is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Try to shoot the card down a little bit because of its sordid past, if you will. But ultimately, each and every one of us would enjoy that card. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. We are chatting with Brian Drent from Mile High Card Company. There was okay. We've talked about this pretty much ad nauseum in the past. I'm paying a lot of attention to these influences, good and bad. Yeah. There are some very good influences. There are some that are, in my opinion, not so good. How do we get the word out to the public, Brian, to be careful about who you're listening to in this hobby?
That's a great question. You guys always hit me with some out of left field, but that one definitely is good. I couldn't agree with you more. There's some great quote unquote influencers in our business, and there's some that I think are somewhat skeptical, somewhat lean the other way. I guess some of it may be just pure common sense. Unfortunately, some of these guys have agendas that are self-driven, and maybe not. Their interests don't lie in the best place. So I think communicating with everybody within your hobby circle and finding out their thoughts on certain people in the hobby. And then really kind of being introspective and looking into where somebody's agenda may lie.
It's just to me like some of these guys are almost like carnival barkers.
They're doing it for the money. I mean, that's what it's all about. So
do JM, just your opinion, should the card manufacturers take part of the blame? I mean, I'm sure that some of these guys are on the payroll.
I think the card manufacturers are behind a lot of it. I think they get attention from it. I think the worst part of it is that it's not going to affect guys like you, me, or Brian. They go after young people.
Yeah, it's going to affect
who are
my
impressionable
grandson.
and maybe have a few bucks.
Yeah, it's going to affect, my grandson.
That's the danger of it.
Yeah. I mean, so piggybacking what we just talked about with this next question, Brian, what would your advice be to young collectors who look at themselves as collectors and investors? What would your advice to them be?
Wow. This has happened for as long as I've been in this business. Well back into the 1980s and 90s, when people kind of thought, in the 80s that, they were just going to buy wax cases and stash them away and be able to pay for kids' education and things of that nature, and not understanding that the printing presses were rolling 24/7, 365. Same thing in the 90s with promo cards. And now, every time you turn around, whether it's an influencer or a modern manufacturer, they're appealing to the guy that, quote unquote, is a collector, but also has an eye towards an investment. Maybe just collect what you enjoy. I've said it so many times before, and it never seems to always sink in. I see people, even on the vintage side of things, that are always switching up what they're collecting to collect what's in vogue at the current time or what's hot. And, it's not all about that, obviously the prices have become pretty strong in our business, whether it's on the vintage side and or on the modern side, but just be smart about what you do and collect what you enjoy.
Brian, I saw in your auction, you have some Eddie Murray card. In your estimation, what are those 70s and 80s stars doing now in the hobby?
Well, that's a card. And I guess in that case, obviously you're looking at the 78 Eddie Murray Topps card.
Yeah.
SA 10, obviously as rookie card, Hall of Famer, a little bit different than, maybe some other 70s and 80s, just star cards in high like that. But some of the rookie cards, notably from the 70s, whether it be Murray, whether it be the Mahler or Trammell card, Both of those coming from 78, 79, the Ozzie Smith 80, the Ricky Henderson are so incredibly difficult in PSA 10. It's just a different animal than even a 9. And so it's a card, those cards all have incredibly low populations, and thereby, the price points are extremely high versus, a card that may look quite similar in PSA 9, just not have the same key attributes that the 10 may have.
Right.
We are chatting with Brian Drent from Mile High Card Company. JM, why don't you talk about our good friend Charlie Perino and the gang at JRI Cards?
You got it, brother. If you want to have an absolute blast at obtaining some great modern and vintage cards, you got to check out JRI Cards. Ike Paisan, Charlie, the Iron Ripper Perino. It's easy, man. You buy in, Charlie opens a pack, featured in the LA Times, ESPN, and USA Radio. JRI is the hottest card pulling show on the internet. Charlie and his staff make it fun, entertaining, and enjoyable with his collection of hats and sound effects. And don't forget that JRI donates a part of their proceeds to various charities. That's JRI Cards. Check out their exclusive breaks and events that everyone is talking about. They're always digging up cardboard treasures. For a great hobby experience, go to jricards.com.
Charlie with his hats, he kills me.
He's the best.
Well, he did I think it was the night of the National, because he didn't go to the National. They did a rip or break, whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah.
And it was on I think it was a Jimmy Brown rookie card that he pulled out of the pack. He had on a 1935 leather helmet for the whole show. It was absolutely hysterical.
And he's got the whole group, the Money Marco. He's got the Dollar girls.
His daughters, his sons. He's got a great operation down in West Palm, too. Just a great operation. Hey, Brian, there's been a lot of news, a lot of talk all over the place about security and theft. There have been some huge losses in the hobby. What does Mile High Card Company do when they're at the National, when they're at a show? What do you do? What extra precautions do you take for security purposes?
Yeah, that's another great question. Unfortunately, just to touch on it, obviously, at the Dallas show within the last couple months, there was a major theft. We're friends with Ash, and my heart goes out to him and his whole operation, his family. It's an incredibly difficult situation, and it's very unfortunate.
Now he never recovered those, correct?
No, those haven't been recovered. And I got to believe, we haven't heard a tremendous amount about it. I haven't spoken with him since the National, but I got to believe that was some type of professional, hit. And by now everybody's mostly seen the video and how that played out, which was quite honestly sickening. But then, I did read about the loss of the cash at the National, which was, again, just heartbreaking. To further it, when we're at the National, you've been to our booth.
Yep.
We have uniformed police officers there, not every year, but mostly every year. So especially in Chicago, we will next year. It just, we obviously have safes there. We have video. So we've taken some extra measures. I know that I'm involved to a degree with promoting a large show here in Denver, and the main promoter, John Scanlon, has changed up his move in and move out policies in regards to what's happened in Dallas and then at the National. So I just think our business and hobby has grown to a level that we all have to be incredibly cognizant of, unwanted outside, forces that are there to do no good. And it's only going to be furthered going forward. I don't want to scare anybody, but if you think about it, every time you turn around, with the Ruth jersey selling for $24.1 million and a Jackie Robinson doing 5.5 million, and $1 million sales becoming, I don't want to say commonplace, but 100,000 plus sales becoming commonplace, and the value of some of the material that dealers are carrying being extraordinary now. People from outside of our business are going to target us, right. And we have to be cognizant and vigilant to protect ourselves.
We have about a minute and a half left of this segment, Brian. But going back to Ash for a second, what can they possibly do with those cards? I mean, they really can't fence them because who are they going to fence them to? Unless it's
I don't know if I agree with that, and I would think that those cards, unfortunately. Everybody saw the pictures of the cards, but that may not be what the cards exactly look like going forward. They could have been intentionally downgraded.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good point.
You get I'm just picking a card, for instance, a number 149 Red Ruth. And I'm sure it wasn't even in the stack of stuff. I can't remember, but let's say the card was in a 5 and it was in a PSA holder. Well, through some intentional damage and being sent to SGC or even a different company, it could be a 3. And although obviously it's not the $15,000 to $17,000 card, now it's $8,000, $9,000, $10,000.
Good point.
And
good point.
That's what could happen.
Never thought of that. Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We have a little short segment after this. Brian Drent is in the house. Hang in there, and we will be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
And remember that imprinted products keep your brand in front of your customers more than any other form of advertising. For the best on-time service and new ideas for your next project, give Petroselli Marketing Group a call at 603-880-3202. That's info@petrosellimkt.com.
Hey, by the way, a shout out to our good friend, Dan Wilkin from Memory Lane Auctions. I don't know if you know this, Jan, but Dan tied the knot last week.
Yeah.
Brian, did you know that?
I did know that. Yeah, that's very happy.
The lovely Sabrina, I don't know how the hell she wound up with him. But she's a beautiful, beautiful girl. Really is. And so congratulations to Danny boy. And wishing nothing but the best. I wanted to ask you, signed cards, huge in the modern market, huge now in the vintage market. Are you seeing many signed cards on your end, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you said, that has seemingly been a part of the market that has changed dramatically and really kind of exploded in the last couple years, and it goes all the way back, to the point where at one point in our hobby, it was frowned upon to get high-end cards signed, and we've talked about that in the past. And so now to find that type of material is difficult, and when you do, the rewards are great.
You know, it's amazing on the modern end of it. The signed, it was just mind-boggling. Rico and I stayed at the Hilton in Cleveland, and every night in the lobby. Every single night in the lobby, there must have been 75 to 100 young folks between the ages of 14 and 25.
Sure.
Just negotiating with each other, very polite, negotiating, buying, selling, flipping, all signed cards. That's all they were looking for, was signed modern cards. This one kid, John, Rico and I were sitting there, we're having a coffee. And the place is mobbed, and we're just kind of taking it all in. And this one kid couldn't have been more than 15 years old. He walks by with a briefcase. And I said to him, I asked him, I says, hey, I said, have you had a good day today? He says, yeah. I said, I've had a great day. I says, well, what do you have left for cards? He says, nothing. It's all cash. That's what he said. It's unbelievable.
It's so good.
Just unbelievable. But signed cards on the modern end, Brian, have really, really picked up a head of steam. They're red hot.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's a great story. I'd say he probably had a pretty great day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian, is there a wow item for you in this auction? There's so many great ones. Something that stands out for you?
Oh man, I'll tell you the truth. I really like the son or the 1915 Type 1 photo of the Red Sox with Ruth, Ruth's rookie year. I think that really jumps off, but probably more so than that. Lot 2, we're offering Ray Nitschke's 1966 Super Bowl I championship ring.
Very cool.
Awesome.
You're talking about a front-end Hall of Famer, one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the game, legendary Packer, the first Super Bowl, a Super Bowl ring. I mean, man, it's got a lot going for it.
Great player.
That's probably the item that just commands my attention and kind of just is a wow item for sure.
We are chatting with Brian Drent. JM, why don't you remind our listeners and viewers about the Philly Show?
I will, Zap. It runs from Friday, September 22nd to Sunday, September 24th at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. Shop over 300 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 100,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven. Major sports auction houses, third-party grading, and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. Remember, all kids 12 and under get in free. Autograph guests include Pete Rose, Jim Thome, Pedro Martinez, and many more. For more information, go to phillyshow.com. Since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started.
Hey, Brian, you're going to be at the Wilmington show in November? Yes, at the end of beginning of November. You're going to be there?
I will be there.
Will you accept another Italian sandwich from the ATS Communications crew?
I absolutely will. I look forward to it every time.
Yeah, we have a local deli here called Borelli's, and they make incredible Italian subs. But JM, I got to be honest with you, the sausage has gone down a little bit.
Well, things
Just
change.
I'm not overly thrilled with it, but that's okay. All right, we got about 2 minutes left. So, Brian, let's go. When does the auction end? On the 12th of September?
Yeah, so we started yesterday on the 26th. Catalogs mailed out yesterday. So they'll be hitting people's mailboxes here in a couple days. And then we end on September 12th.
Fantastic. John, any closing words?
Just, Brian, when you get in between shows, are the things you take from the National that you kind of apply to the next show or the next auction?
Yeah, you know what it is more than anything for us at the National? It's the relationships that we have with our customers, our the buyers, consigners, getting to see people throughout the show that one time a year. And I guess taking that and going to other shows is exactly just it. Before I did this, I was in sales. I still consider myself in sales, obviously. And one of the most important things is what we call FaceTime. So we get to be in front of our customers' face. And that doesn't happen a lot in this business in person. So we take that seriously. And that's why we go to shows.
Right.
Well, Brian, I got to tell you something. We've been fortunate to surround ourselves with some great people, yourself included. And the thing that I really love, and we got about 30 seconds, is the friendly competition between all of you guys. You're competitors, but yet pretty much you're all friends. Which is, between you and Derek and Thomas Sulo and JP and Joe Orlando, just a great bunch of guys. And
absolutely,
it's so refreshing for us. Really is.
See a picture of all of us when we were quite a bit younger in Vegas.
Oh.
Just like you said, we've been, we fight as hard as we can, and because everybody, we have that competitive nature, and that's obviously how we pay the bills, so to speak. But deep down, we're great friends, and we support each other tremendously.
And Tomasula now has the golden hat on. He wears the golden hat. Good. All right. With that being said, Brian, thanks for your time. Good luck with the auction. Ends on the 12th. Get your bids in. There's some great items. JM, I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
I am going to make every effort to get into the studio next week with Rico. Rico called me up. You would think he'd ask, how you feeling? You know what he asked? Where do you get those Baccarat Toro cigars that you buy? That's what he calls me up for. With that being said, JM, take care. Chrissy, great job. Brian, we'll see you guys. And to our viewers and listeners, happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.